and what's becoming way too regular early in the season for the Chicago Bulls. We're here to talk about another Chicago Bulls loss, this time to the Toronto Raptors. We're also going to talk about why it's finally time that everyone gives more criticism to Billy Donovan and his coaching, considering where the Bulls currently sit at on this season. We're going to talk about all that, plus the mailbag, right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Hayes. Make sure you guys are following the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. And the Chicago Bulls lost 121-108 to the Toronto Raptors in what eliminated them from in-season tournament contention, all that good stuff. The Raptors are already out of contention, and you know, it's a lot of things you can pull away from this game. One, Zach LaVine having a big night scoring-wise, at least individually, with 36 points, 4 of 8 from three-point range, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Shout out to Zach LaVine for coming back and really asserting himself. There were times in this game, specifically in the fourth quarter, where they were trapping or doubling teaming Zach LaVine on every time he touched the ball, and he still put up 12 points in the fourth quarter with that happening. That goes kind of hand in hand with, you know, this thing of him taking less than 10 shots and, you know, the thing of saying he's trying to get other – it's all bullshit. Like, let's just be clear on this. Like, at this point in time, I'm kind of fed up with this team. I'm fed up with the rigmarole and the political bullshit comments and things like this. Listen, Zach LaVine, at the end of the day, Zach is checked out. And he's over it, right? It is what it is. He's ready to get out of town. I understand the reasons to that. I'm glad that Zach LaVine had a big night tonight, and I love the way that he played. And Zach LaVine reminded people, for anyone that forgot, is that when Zach LaVine gets in rhythm, he's one of the most fluid scorers in the NBA, and it's a beautiful thing to watch. And it's unfortunate that things have now led to the point to where they are, and we'll talk a little bit about that more in it. But in this game, the Bulls shoot 51% from the field overall, which is really solid. 44% from three-point range, right? So those are kind of things that you want to see from the Chicago Bulls, but when it comes down to it, this team just doesn't execute well. Like, it's bigger than the stats. It's bigger than the box score with the Chicago Bulls. And we talked about that at times this season. There are some games in which you'll look at the Bulls and look at the box score, and it'll have you thinking or make you think that this team was actually respectable in the game. And they just weren't. They weren't. The Chicago Bulls did not win a single quarter but the fourth quarter in this game. And at that time, it was because Patrick Williams went off in the fourth quarter. Like, shout out to Patrick Williams and what he was able to do in the fourth quarter. But the game was decided at that point in time, right? The Chicago Bulls lost on basically every hustle thing in it. The Raptors had a better effective field goal percentage than the Chicago Bulls at 60-58, right? They also had more free throws than the Chicago Bulls. They had 27. We had 19. They go 20 of 27. We go 12 of 19. Offensive rebounding battle. They won that as well, 13-10. And then when you look at the only place as far as the hustle stats, and the key, especially for the Bulls, to not being a volume three-point shooting team that we beat the Raptors in, was the the turnover battle, which we won 12-14. Other than that, every bit of the hustle stats and analytics and things that you look at for this team, we lost that. And this continues to be the struggle for the Chicago Bulls. And, you know, I think that Billy Donovan deserves a bigger criticism on where the Bulls sit right now, because look at it. The Bulls right now are in the same place as rebuilding teams in the NBA. Right? The Portland Trailblazers are a team that's absolutely rebuilding. And guess what? The Chicago Bulls sit right around the same area as them. The Washington Wizards, which, that team, it is what it is and things like that. But, like, the Bulls right now are 13th in the Eastern Conference. And that's bad. We'll talk about it. Like, I'm getting off track, right? In this game, DeMar DeRozan was ejected in this game. And he was apparently ejected because of him being a little bit more frustrated about he took kind of he had an issue with Pascal Siakam, and Pascal Siakam taking the three, and he went on to actually explain it himself here.
Kind of an unwritten code in the NBA when you're under 24 seconds and you have the last possession, the shot clock typically gets dribbled out. Is that what you took exception?
For sure. I don't care about no in-season tournament points. None of that. Just respect for the game. If Rose was flip-flop, had the ball, hold it. Is what it is.
Can you share what you said to the bench?
Probably not.
Is there a clean version?
No.
Did you have a chance to talk to Siakam?
No.
Well, we were told that he thought that point differential comes into play, but they were eliminated before the game. But it's unclear if he knew that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I knew that, but I didn't care about that either. I mean, you know what I mean? So just everybody yelling over there, score, 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 score. Well, take the win. We get out of here. You know, stay up. Like I said, Rose's verse, whether we needed points, the in-season points or not, just for the respect of I have for my opponents. You know, I hold the ball, especially if it's no shot clock. That's just me.
So, in him talking about respect for the game, right? That's what it comes down to, is respect, taking issue because of the respect for the game. And I love that DeMar said that, right? Even in you saying he can't share what he said to the bench and, things like that, and saying he understood the points. But like I said earlier, the Raptors are already eliminated from it. I like this team. In that moment, DeMar had some pride in it. But listen, we need more than that. And that's one of the biggest issues with this team overall, is that this team just does not seem like it has a gear or monochrome of fucking pride at all. It just doesn't. This team it seems like it's just they just wait until they figure it out. And DeMar actually has comments on that. Before we get into that, Alex Caruso did leave this game. Seems like Kobe White stepped on his foot. He was asked after the game kind of about it, and it was Billy Donovan's decision to pull him out. He said this.
Billy told us that he just kind of made a unilateral decision to not bring you back after Kobe stepped on your foot. Do you think you could have come back if he had asked, or how bad was it hurt?
It was pretty painful. It was probably the right decision. I think there's probably only more negative that could have happened rather than positive throwing me back out there, especially with the athletes and the pace of the game and the physicality of it.
So what's the plan moving forward? Just try to get treatment?
Yeah, let's get treatment. I already started that. We're going to do some more stuff before we get on the plane, and then take it. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and see where we're at.
Was there a diagnosis other than just kind
of... No, nothing yet.
And so right now, there's no decision being made on Alex Caruso and his availability for Sunday. It's way too early. He did say, you heard in that clip, he's going to go out, get some more treatment, things like that. So that's good. Alex Caruso, I think when it comes down to it, we have voicemails on it too. Like, I get you wanted to bring in energy into the starting lineup, but you got Alex Caruso playing the 4. He's a 6'3" guard. Come on, y'all. Like, what are we doing here, right? And that brings us to the next topic that we have, is that, people get asked me all the time, is there still hope? Why are we still watching the Chicago Bulls team? DeMar DeRozan said this. He said, put a couple of wins together. I really, truly believe that can shift everything for us. We got to challenge ourselves. We can't have those spiritual talks. We got to challenge each other and leave it all the way out there. That's a good thing to be challenged. Ask something of yourself more than you ever have at this point, myself included. That's where we're at. Now, to say that that's where we're at as far as this team challenging themselves, right? This team is towards the bottom of the league in pace. We're like 27th in offensive efficiency. This team right now, it doesn't seem like there's much hope for this team to turn anything around. And when you look at the talent that's on this team should be better than the talent that we have on this team. And I put a lot of that on head coach Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan deserves to get more criticism, not just from people like me and pundits and things like that and Bulls fans, but people need to realize, the front office needs to realize that you have to look at what Billy Donovan is giving you right now. This Chicago Bulls team is not that much different as far as win rate than the Jim Boylan coach teams. Now, those teams had fucking Denzel Valentine on them, right? This team has so much more talent than that, but we're shaping up and things are going in the direction where we're going to end in about the same place that team is. We have right now the win rate and percentage of a rebuilding team, and we're a team that's actually trying to win and compete. And that doesn't mean take away from the mistakes that players make on this team. That doesn't mean that eliminates DeMar DeRozan being one of the worst defensive players in the NBA. Nikola Vucevic ain't too far behind him. Nobody, more things can be true at the same time. You can have multiple things true at the same time. But Billy Donovan, the fact that this team is not likely to move on from Billy Donovan and all of this, it blows me. It really does at this point in time. The Bulls suck. And Billy Donovan is a big part of the reason of why that. Is he the only reason? No. And I don't want to take away from that. But he is part of the reason why the Chicago Bulls find themselves where they are, because Billy Donovan is not a good head coach for the Chicago Bulls. He's just not. And when you look at the talent that we have on this team, when you look at the capability that we have on this team, the head-scratching decisions, not riding the hot hand, for anybody at this point to say that Billy Donovan isn't part of the problem and just tries to blame it just on the players or just on the front office is missing so much, and it's ridiculous. Billy Donovan has to go. And as long as Billy Donovan is the head coach of the Chicago Bulls team, I don't think that you can find the right mix of anything. And even then, even if you do go on a retool or rebuild or whatever, what has Billy Donovan showed to say that he deserves it? The Bulls have a less than 30% win percentage on this season. Billy Donovan has a 40% win percentage as the head coach of the Chicago Bulls. The proof is in the pudding. You now have 4 years under Billy Donovan to show, yes, that first year, we didn't know what we were going to be. We weren't necessarily trying to win. We had a new front office, new regime coming in, things like that. But you have to, right along with the bad decisions from the front office in drafting, right along with the bad defense from our core 3 players, right along with Patrick Williams being passive, you got to put right up there with all of those things is Billy Donovan and his inability to coach a team that has talent on the roster. And as long as Billy Donovan is left in this position to keep allowing to just, for him to just keep getting a pass, what has Billy Donovan done to deserve a pass from Chicago? I can tell you right now, nothing. There's been nothing in it. Nothing. So the fact that we keep tying ourselves to a coach that has not deserved a pass at all is crazy to me. We didn't even give that much of a pass to Tom Thibodeau, and we had a winning record basically every year under Tom Thibodeau. But Billy Donovan is the head coach that gets the pass. Listen, to say that, ask the question, is there still hope for the season for the Chicago Bulls? I mean, realistically, probably still 5 games left on the season. But it doesn't seem like that any type of hope that's there is going to be realized because, listen, we got issues from top to bottom, and coaching is absolutely still one of those issues. And I just don't know, man. I don't know. And, it is what it is when it comes down to it, but it is Saturday, so that means it is Mailbag Day. Let's go ahead and get into the voicemails. This first one's from the 661.
Hey, I used to stay in Chicago. I'm a long-time Bulls fan. Still keeping it up with the Bulls way out here in Cali. But anyway, I just want to kind of respond to a lot of the people that's on YouTube and in NBC Chicago, Casey Johnson and CHGO with Matt Heck and Big Dave, everybody who's covering the Bulls don't keep it real. I know, and y'all know, because y'all more close to the Bulls than I am. Everybody knows what's wrong with Zach LaVine, but you guys don't seem like you really know. The problem with Zach LaVine is he checked out. He's checked out, bro. He's doing all this stuff that you see is on purpose. Him only taking 9 shots. I see it. Everything is done on purpose, purposely. So that's the problem with Zach LaVine. He got checked out. We need to get rid of him. He gonna bring a bad locker room to the Bulls if he keep it up. Because we might not trade him no time soon. So that's the problem. I like for you guys to respond to it. Keep it real. Big Dave and they'll be trying to sugarcoat it. I guess y'all can't speak on it. But the problem with Zach LaVine is he's checked out. He don't care about the Bulls. That's the problem. He's doing everything he's doing is on purpose. If you notice, you do that on purpose, and then all of a sudden he'll come in the fourth quarter and start shooting. Hit threes. He could have been doing that. He don't want to do it. He checked out. Thank you, guys. I want your thoughts on it. You, Hayes, you and Pat the designer, tell me what you think. Love you guys. I love your show. Bye.
I don't think anybody has said that Zach LaVine hasn't checked out. I don't like this voicemail was left earlier in the week, but Matt and Big Dave has said it. I've definitely said it. I have a whole video on Zach LaVine checking out. Me and Pat the designer have talked about it. So like you saying that people aren't ready to say what it is, I think we've all identified what it is. Yes, Zach LaVine is checked out, but it's more than just being checked because you can still technically be checked out and just remove yourself from things but still perform. Like Zach LaVine at this point, he's ready to go. And like I said before, I understand both sides of the argument with it. And, it's going to be for a while. Like we know December 15th is probably the earliest, and it could go to January 15th if they're going to be rookies that were just drafted and included in the deal as well. So we could be having another month and a half, basically, of Zach LaVine still in the Chicago Bulls uniform. And we'll see what that ends up bringing. But all right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one's from Mello.
What's going on, Hayes? This is Mello. First, I want to tell you happy Thanksgiving, bro. I got 2 things. One is about Billy Donovan. When the Bulls made these off-season moves to get Craig and Carter, I thought both of these dudes would be probably starting. I didn't want P. Will to not start, but obviously he hasn't played well, so I get why Billy did that. But why would he then demote him back to the bench to start Caruso, who's now going to be playing power forward and potentially getting hurt when Caruso was killing it off of the bench? He keeps preaching all of this about continuity, but you have to let chemistry happen first to see who actually plays well with each other. And as far as fit, Carter and Craig fit perfectly with the starting 5. You put them with, I'm not going to call them the big 3, I'm going to call them the core 3, with LaVine, Jamar, and Vooch. You put those guys out there with them, it's 6. And then off the bench, you have Caruso, Kobe, Io, P. Will, and Drummond, if you want to go 10 deep. But he just sticks to his normal rotation, which makes no sense. It's like right around the 6-minute mark, you know either Levine or DeMar's coming out the game. Second, so I just want to get your thoughts on that because neither Carter or Craig have played together with the core 3 for this entire season. That makes no sense. And just a question for you, if they do move Zach, where do you think is the best place for him to go in regards to what the Bulls can get in return? That's my question for you. Have a good one, bro.
So, I have a video and I did talk about the fact that we haven't seen Javon Carter or Torrey Craig play a single minute with the core 3 together. And much like you, I did think, even if I didn't necessarily think that we would see that as the starting lineup, I did think that we would see that lineup some, and we haven't seen it at all yet. And Alex Caruso starting, I get it, right? Your starting lineup missed some energy. The bench hasn't been able to replace the energy of Alex Caruso. And when it really just comes down to it, it just shows the importance of Alex Caruso on this team that if he's in the starting lineup, we don't have any energy off the bench. If he's on the bench, we have energy off the bench, but no energy in the starting lineup. So it really shows the importance of what Alex Caruso brings to this team. But it goes back to what I said about Billy Donovan. He's a head-scratching coach. A gum-chewing, head-scratching ass coach, because that's the only 2 things that a Billy Donovan coach team is going to leave you, is scratching your head and wondering why the motherfucker chews so much bubble gum. That's really it. That's really what it comes down to, and it's unfortunate that this is where we are, right? And, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that we don't see any type of original. Billy Donovan is always in a place of reacting to what the other team does. And much like I said with Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy over at Chicago Bears Central, is that when you play to not lose the game instead of play to win the game, and that's kind of how it seems like Billy Donovan is doing. He's playing not to lose the adjustment, not to lose the coaching battle, and he loses it every single time because he's not coaching to try to win it. We're going to just find ourselves behind the 8 ball more times than not, in my opinion, and that's really what it comes down to. But all right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one's from Michael Korn.
Hey, Hayes, on this day of thanks, been searching for something positive to say about the Bulls, and all I can say is all things must pass. I'll keep rooting for the Bulls, but we're going to outlast this team, including our coach and front office. Anyway, listen, I heard your pregame before the Thunder game, and you mentioned about aiming for 1,000 straight days of broadcast consecutively. Awesome. And he said, like, you're taking 3 days no matter what, which is cool, but if you need some arguments on why you should take at least 7 days, including a couple of weekends, I'm willing to make a case for you, just in case you want to take that time, man. Awesome show. And I'll stick with the Bulls, man, but they really suck. And, I was going to keep things positive. But have a good one. Enjoy the show always. Thanks. Bye.
First of thing, thank you, Michael Korn, for your thoughts. I am taking 3 days off after episode 1,000. It'll be 1,000 straight days of doing this show. I'm taking 3 days off. I'm turning it over to Steve-O. He's going to take over the channel for 3 days. Like I said, once we hit episode 1,000, I don't have the exact date in mind. I think it's going to be like somewhere in March, I believe. Once that happens, whatever. I don't care if we still got games left. I don't care if we're in the playoffs, which I doubt. If it falls, depending on where it falls, then maybe I'll delay it into the end of the season. But 3 days off are coming. 7 days I can't take. Listen, I'm just going to be real. My flaw as a person, I don't know how to take off work. I'm not taking 7 days off. But as far as all things must pass, yeah, we're going to outlive, hopefully, right, knock on wood, the Billy Donovan era. We're going to outlive the current era of where the Chicago Bulls sit. We're going to outlive where Acme and AK have this team. But like at the end of the day, it just really comes down to this, is that we deserve better. And I think that's the most important thing in all of this. We deserve better from this organization. And, hopefully that they realize it. Like I've said before, the Zach LaVine trade thing, it's going to force them to make a change that otherwise they probably wouldn't have changed. And hopefully they come out on the other side of that better than where we started off at. Eventually. I don't think it's going to be like you trade Zach LaVine, instantly you get better. Well, depending on the pieces you get back, but hopefully it changes the outlook of the team. And in 2-3 years or whatever, we're sitting in a much better place than the fucking hellhole we find ourselves in right now with this franchise that we love. But all right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one's from Big O.
What's going on, Hayes? Big O, brother, calling in. Great video, as always. Kind of agree with one of your callers when they said that, when you look at, because I heard you and Pat talk about it a lot, but it's the way they built Denver. And it's like, when you really look at it, if that team don't draft Jokic, the Denver is not the Denver Nuggets that we want. You know, what I mean, if Bob Paxson would have drafted Jokic, they'd still have a job in the front office right now for the Chicago. That's just how that went. You know, it's the same thing with us drafting Derrick Rose. You know what I mean? We got luck, and AK got luck. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's just what it takes. Take a little bit of luck. But to your point, you know, bring Alonzo in. The way the season started with Alonzo, you can't give him credit for that. So I guess, can he build a team? That remains to be seen. We haven't really seen him build a team without getting lucky. You know what I'm saying? And we see it, you know, we see it all the time. Dallas Mavericks did it with Dirk. The Detroit Pistons did it. You know, there's certain teams we could point to that didn't really have a superstar who could say, hey, he built a hell of a team. Second thing, I do like what Pat said. So you agreed that Charlotte might have to go all in, and they might be putting, you know, it's a possibility Brandon Miller could be had for Zach LaVine. And my thing to that, because, you know, when you add Mark Williams, Terry Rozier, obviously going to make the money work. Gordon Hayward will make the money work. If that's the case, then I can't see them just doing that straight up. But they might be like, hey, if we're giving you Brandon Miller and we going in for the win now, they might want Booch as well. And my question to you is, if you can get Brandon Miller and maybe, let's say, Mark Williams and the cap filler for Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, is that a deal you would entertain? I think that'd be a good deal. I'd be like, hey, well, take them both. Take them both. Take them both off my hand. We'll get the young player, and we basically be swapping it out as far as you. And then Charlotte will be in the kind of let's go try to make the playoffs now type of deal. So I kind of like that idea. I also think that the Bulls should be targeting for a Caruso trade. They should be looking at Oklahoma City. I would say Booch as well. Like, you know, if you're moving Booch and he, you know, and then he ain't in the Charlotte deal like I just mentioned, I would be looking at OKC. You know, they can slide Shaq to the fourth. You know, get you a defender at Caruso. Y'all got plenty of picks. Y'all got young players. Y'all got to move off of at some point anyway. That would be the two teams that I'd be targeting if I'm the Bulls. But keep doing your thing, brother. Go Bulls. Red.
All right, here's the thing. So here's the thing that I'll say is that, yes, drafting a star is cool, and I get what you're saying on that, but you still have to build a team around that star. And getting a star is just the first step. And well, the first step as far as getting to contend, you still have to draft well afterwards. You have to sign well afterwards. You have to not give out extremely bad contracts. You have to do those things. So had Garpax drafted Jokic, would they still be around? No, because they couldn't. They even admitted they didn't know how to build a team at that point in time. So I got to fight back a little bit on that. So I still think like it's more than just luck because you still have to support it, or you can end up being a team like Portland, who drafted Dame, could never really put a team around him, or the Philadelphia 76ers, who drafted Embiid after taking for a long time. But even with that said, the team still isn't necessarily looked at a championship contending team, right? They have their flaws and things like that. So it's more than just getting the star that makes it lucky. You also have to be smart after you get your star, which does take a monochrome of luck or a big amount of luck, but you still have to support it by signing and building around that player the correct way. So that's what I think in that. As far as the Hornets, here's the thing. It's a fun conversation to have. I've had it here. Me and Pat had it. But the Hornets are not trading Brandon Miller. We can try to talk ourselves into saying, oh, well, they'll give up Brandon and Mark. There's no way they trade Brandon Miller and Mark Williams for Zach and Vooch. There's no way. I'm going to give that a 0% chance. If it happens, I'd love to be here, pull this clip, come back and say, hey, listen, I said there's a 0% chance, and it happened. But they're not. And for much of the same reasoning you're laying out for why they may do it is why they're probably not going to do it. They aren't a team that gets free agents. They're not a free agent destination. So why would you trade a high lottery pick you just drafted in Brandon Miller, who you haven't even began to scratch the surface of what he could be, and for a player like Zach LaVine? Like, I'm not saying that they wouldn't trade for Zach. I believe that they could have interest in Zach, but they're not giving up Brandon Miller for Mark Williams, maybe because a defensive-minded big and things like that, or maybe kind of you can say that it's easier to replace that theoretically. But I don't think that they are going to look to move Brandon Miller because, listen, this guy has a tremendous scoring upside. So I don't think that that's going to be the case. I know as fans we love to think that that could happen, but I highly doubt. I put that at a near 0% chance that the Bulls end up landing Brandon Miller in a Zach LaVine trade with the Charlotte Hornets. I'd be willing to bet on that. I think more likely than that, you're probably looking at P.J. Washington, players like that being included on top of what they can use to match salaries. But I'm not really thinking that you're going to get Brandon Miller in a case like that. But all right, let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one is from Shay.
What's up, Hayes? This is Shay. First off, before I get started on the topic, I just want to tell you Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you and your family have a wonderful holiday. Okay? The real reason I'm calling. You know, a lot of people have been talking about Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic, and I get that. But this is one thing where I have to get on a lot of people's ass about, including your co-host, C-Dub, and Kevin. Now, I still love them, though. Everybody's sitting up here talking about Kobe White. Kobe White, oh, his shooting percentage has gone down, this and that. Oh, he ain't took a step forward. Let me tell y'all something. Kobe White started on the bench last year, and he is now the starting point guard. Not only is this man playing out of position, but he's still trying to find his way. And he has improved a little bit. His playmaking has got somewhat decently better. Now, he's averaging 18 points a game. I get that, but let's put some respect on this man's name, because the fact that he's being asked to do a job, him along with Alex Caruso, that they probably shouldn't even been in, and we already knew poor Billy Donovan the captain of the Chicago Bulls that Kobe White was not a point guard. And the fact that he's doing it, y'all need to show him a little bit more respect than that. Think about it. Think about it. The fact that he's not scoring and he has to focus on playmaking, which is not his strength, and the fact that he's looking to make a step vocally, especially on the defensive end, y'all need to be showing him a little bit more credit than that. Now, look, I know a lot of people. I know I haven't been the biggest Kobe White supporter when it comes to starting, but I mean, with y'all just shitting on him and talking about some, oh, he along with Patrick Williams has regressed. Let me tell you something. The man ain't in his normal role, so you're going to have to show him a little bit more respect than that. That's all I got to say. Anyway, tell me what you think, Hayes. Peace.
I love this because Shay hasn't always been the biggest supporter of Kobe White. And, you know, I didn't see what C-Dub and Big Kev said. Those are my brothers. But for people who say that Kobe hasn't taken a step forward, I think are just looking too much at just the stats. You got to actually watch the games. Kobe is absolutely taking a step forward, and he's learning a point guard position, which isn't necessarily best suited to his skill set. And that's why when you see things like Zach LaVine not being out there, that's why I did have Kobe White on my list of players that I think would benefit greatly once Zach LaVine is moved, because it allows him to theoretically, depending on what we get back, to go into more of his natural scorers type mentality. And I think that that's going to help Kobe White tremendously. Kobe White has absolutely taken a step forward. His understanding of the game, his passing has gotten steadily better. His defense has been something that's been on the rise for the last 2.5 seasons at this point. Kobe White has absolutely taken a step forward. And the people who crap on Kobe White and say, oh, he's not it at point guard, I think don't look at what he's being asked to do as the point guard and are kind of looking at generally what they think a true point guard type does. And there aren't a lot of true point guards in the league anymore either way. Kobe White is definitely increased. He's definitely taken steps forward. He hasn't taken a leap. I won't say that, but he's definitely taken a step forward. And I think you're seeing a Kobe White that's still kind of filling out the way to be the starter and what this team needs from their starting point guard. And we'll see if he comes out on the better side of it. I think he will. But that's my thought process. You guys can let me know what you think down below. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail, like you heard in today's episode, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.